Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday's edition of your daily market insight video. And yes, I am filling in for Don. Yes, I have the big show, which means I've got the 21 over 21. Quite a bit of names coming off, particularly a lot of growth names that have been decimated as of recent. So some new names coming on the 21 over 21 list that are in some different sectors, some more defensive slash a little bit less risky, not so much the high beta type names sneaking their way in the 21 over 21 list. So we're going to go over that. We're going to look at some stocks and sectors that are showing pretty extreme relative strength, as well as some individual stocks that continue to break down. We're going to look at the indices. We're going to talk about interest rates, TLT, the dollar, etc. So let's get right into it, everybody. What just happened? S&Ps and the Qs both up about 1% today, really leading the way. As you can see there, small and mid caps still relatively weak today, particularly small caps, not really getting much love at all, while the other indices were able to maintain a pretty good day for the most part. Mid caps barely closing green, not really much strength either. So let's start here. G5 week, particularly of interest when the Qs are up 1.1% and the G5 is down over 0.5%. There's a pretty big disconnect there, and really what that tells you is the safer, more liquid companies are holding up the Qs, the ones that make up a big percentage of it, right? The big techs, the Facebooks, Apples, Googles, those types of names. So the G5 down 0.5% roughly, S&P up around 1%, Qs up a little over 1%. The Dow really steady as a rock all day, up 0.6. Mid caps slightly green. Really, they were only green at the last second of the day. They just slightly got green as we got a pretty strong finish. And then the Russell 2000, the laggard, down about 40 basis points more or less. So all in all, NASDAQ very strong, S&P very strong. The Dow, like I said, really didn't move much all day, pretty strong as well. The Dow has been continuing to hold up really well as we've seen fear creep back into the equation here with some of this action. We've seen the Dow start to pick back up. So market state remains in a rally attempt. That has not changed. However, we do have a small or a quick change here to the trend gauge. So short term, as of today, has been moved from neutral to up. Mid caps trying to stay above the 21, Dow staying above the 21. Obviously, the S&P and the Qs above the 21. And the reason we've still got this little yellow arrow is IWM is still a big time laggard, and that's really the main reason we've got I guess essentially the only reason. IWM still really struggling, right, kind of slightly below all of their major moving averages. So if they can right the ship and get back above, maybe you see some of these small yellow arrows start to come off. Market leaders remains neutral. We see really bifurcated relative strength in the sense that a lot of the smaller and market cap and less liquid names are having a really tough time, even if they're great stocks. But the big liquid, more stable companies are holding up pretty well. So we're seeing some extreme weakness and extreme relative strength, kind of really two polar opposites in regards to the big tech names and some of the smaller high beta growth names. So with that being said, let's get right into the charts. But before we do, as I always do, let me reference the team here at Revere. If you have any questions, send me an email at revereasset.com, whether it's about this video, something that was on the podcast, a video from a month ago, doesn't matter. Send me an email. I'll be happy to answer your questions or communicate with you. Or if you're interested in what we do, you can email me, or you can email Dan, Tim, Merrill, Alex, or Don at revereasset.com as well. So let's get into the charts. We're going to start with the indices here. We're going to look at the Dow first. I mentioned it was pretty steady all day. You can see that here on a daily, just giving up nothing really after this gap, just going sideways and then moving up over 360. I actually texted Don and Alex earlier today and said if the Dow can get over 360, if the Qs can clear 397 and the S&P can get through 470 or 4,700, that would be a good thing. And we actually got that right at the last second. So we'll see how that plays out next week. But regardless, the Dow is really, really acting well. Just like I said, very stable here. Didn't move all that much. The Qs, on the other hand, we actually had a kind of a crappy open here. We opened up near 400 and pretty much came right down to the 21, right around 393, ended up bouncing, ended up finishing really strong here. Do have a little bit of a daily head and shoulders pattern forming. That would be invalidated in the event that the Qs can really blow through this 400, 401 level and take out these recent highs. But nonetheless, the Qs did not look great early this morning. strong finish to the day, but came back and finished right at the highs of the day. So a strong close for the Qs, strong close for the S&P, finally pushing above the highs of these previous days here, getting through that 470 level. That's a big deal. So keep in mind, we're not crazy extended on these indices either, right? We just showed the Qs bouncing off the 21. S&P is about 1.5% above here. So we're just kind of going sideways after this big gap on the S&P, and then today breaking out of that range to the upside. So we'll see if that follows through on Monday. Last two here, I mentioned small caps really still not been able to get anything together below the moving averages. That is true. And this looks like a very clear rejection at a declining 21 at the overhead 200 day that you can see right there, now back below the 8-day. However, at the current juncture, this is a lower low from these 213 lows. The big red flag that I would be watching for, not only on IWM, but a lot of these indices, is coming out and taking out these lows here from the beginning of December, 1201 through 1206, basically. So I want to keep a close eye on there, but you never know. Monday, IWM could get right back above the 8, could re-challenge these highs. You have to be flexible. Although this does not look great, it is lighter selling volume too than the gaps, and we saw that not only on the indices, but on a lot of individual stocks as well. And last one here, MDY, I mentioned it's pretty much sitting right on all the moving averages. Like you can see, it's more or less right there on the 21, the 50, and the 8. So we'll get some clarity there as well. And the last thing here before I go to TLT and the dollar very quickly, QQQ did get a follow-through day today, up on above average volume, day 4 here after the rally attempt on 12.6. So for what it's worth, QQQ eking out a FTD, a follow-through day today. So let's look at TLT very quickly. This has been the flight to safety trade, and dare I say, this is beginning to look a little bit like a downtrend, rejected at the overhead 8. Now we're sitting right here on the 21 with TLT. We saw this huge spike up. That was a lot of fear right there, starting at pretty much like around 11.25, 11.26. And we've seen it pull back and not really holding up at the 21. This isn't a stock, so I don't treat it the same way per se, but a trend is a trend. And these moving averages are what help us put a visual with the trend and be able to see kind of where it's at. So for right now, the trend appears to be down, at least on a very short-term basis on TLT. And then on UUP, this is the dollar, had made a really big breakout here, consolidating to the 21. So the dollar's still moving up, still in an uptrend. TLT coming back off of some pretty parabolic highs. TLT doesn't move extremely large on a day-to-day basis, but it had some pretty big moves over the last couple of weeks. So let's get into some of the strongest stuff out there. I'm going to be really quick, and then I'm going to get into the 21 over 21. So ITB, one of the strongest sectors. We've been talking about it. SOX, also one of the strongest sectors. These are really great looking charts. Although a lot of growth stocks look bad, SOX, ITB, and IYT, transportation, all looking pretty good. And these were areas that had shown relative strength previously, were showing relative strength in the pullback, continue to show relative strength now. Stocks, not so much today. You want to see the big semi leaders getting involved. We didn't see the NVIDIAs and the AMDs lead today, but we saw some other names have a good day. A couple more here. Tesla, maybe this is a big positive for growth. Maybe it ultimately means nothing here. But back above 1,000, back above the 50-day. This is a higher low here, same thing. I mean, for Tesla, I'm watching this low of 950. That's very important and corresponds to about where this low is too on the gap up day. So for the time being though, Tesla getting back above 1,000, getting back above the 50-day. And then some charts that are just still in destruction mode. Let me show you a few. Coin, not really able to catch a break, rejected at that overhead 8. And if you see that overhead 8-day trend start to get broken, right, we start building up this way and slicing, kind of breaking this trend. That's something to pay attention to on a lot of these beat up names. But for the time being, not really getting a breather. Net, same thing, ugly day today, down 7%. Upstart down nearly 10% today, or over 10% today, back to this 160 level. So a lot of these names back to around the lows they were at, giving back a lot of their recent bounce. So let's get to the 21 over 21, everybody. So the first name, Nucor. I'm going to pull this up here. I don't want to squish the charts up too much, but I want you to be able to see the names a little bit here. And I'm actually going to go through these in alphabetical just to make everybody's life a little bit easier. if I can get the chart to respond to me. Okay, maybe not. Try this one more quick time here. It is just not wanting to let me navigate down there, so I'm gonna do it up here. So we'll start with Apple actually. So Apple, what else can you say about it other than the fact that it just continues to grind higher in the face of market turmoil? A lot of concern from individual investors about stocks in general. Apple continues to grind higher, staying on the 21 over 21 like Don said it would. I'm gonna cover those four that are just acting like big time leaders first. Marvell, nothing wrong with this chart, flagging up here around 90, 8 days really yet to even catch up. This is pretty constructive, healthy behavior here after a really big move. This is one of those semiconductor names that's been kind of carrying the torch while AMD and NVIDIA have been struggling as well. ANET, a name that's staying on here, as you can see, back above the 21 after a brief undercut, and Reclaim, a pretty strong Reclaim, I might add, and then AMBA, another semiconductor company that's holding up pretty well, staying above the 8. So those were the four mainstays. I know Don mentioned those yesterday. The rest of these, I'm just going to run through them here in the order that I have them written down since my MarketSmith list is not reacting to me. Nucor, staying above the 21, trending higher here, a higher low today, and really it's been kind of a mess in here, but starting to look a little bit more normal maybe as you get these moving averages kind of assimilating in the right order, right? So NUE holding up pretty well. You've got BLDR. We talked about ITB, the home builders being really strong. Well, BLDR is just evidence of that. Just it is extended, but an unbelievable run for this company here. I mean, after getting through this area, I mean, we've gone on and had a roughly what 60% move, 70% move there up to 80. Incredible move for Builder. PSTG, Pure Storage. This is a recent breakout, respecting the 8-day here. Pretty good action following the gap up on PSTG. That stays on the list. QCOM, one of those semis that's still acting pretty good, even though NVIDIA and AMD haven't been great, respecting the 8-day as well. Roblox, very close to the 21 today, but stays on the 21 over 21 list by the skin of its teeth. It really kind of bounced off of it today, more or less touched it to the T. So ZIM, we actually were stopped out on the remainder of the position of that today. You can see a pretty nasty day for ZIM. We got out of it earlier in the day when it was down around 2%, I believe, and this one is going to be replaced with Micron Technology, another semiconductor holding up around the 8-day, looking really good. So you're starting to hear a recurring theme, semiconductor stocks outside of the normal ones that you hear about, starting to show some strength. And we're going to see another name here, not necessarily a semi manufacturer, but a different name in the semi space that just kind of further shows that evidence. So NVIDIA, it did close below the 21 today. Really, it's the second close below the 21, although yesterday was just by a little bit. But NVIDIA is coming off the list. Replacement for NVIDIA, Costco. Really a huge move up here. Excuse me. And you can see the volume is pretty impeccable. I believe they reported earnings. It's not showing up right here. It says it's due 12/9. I don't know why it's not giving me that data, but they're up, nicely today. This has been an incredible move from 300 to 550 from the end of February to now. So Costco added to the list. I already talked about Apple. I talked about MRVL. Snow, this one held up better than a lot of other growth stocks, even though it still had a pretty sharp pullback, as you can see, but back above the 21, above average volume today. It continues to act really good. Couple more here. Toll, a name from the home builder space, new all-time highs today, and just continuing the breakout on above average volume like you would expect it to. Ford, a really big breakout of a consolidation here at this 20 level, something that a lot of people I'm sure have been looking for as this has been digesting, but a big move over that range, over that 2079 high. Ford added to the list. JBHT, this is a transportation company, trucking company, and you can see this is a pretty attractive chart too. It's held up at the 50-day. It's just fighting to get through that 200 level, but it looks like that's something that could happen any day. So JBHT added. You see the fundamentals here on JBHT too. This isn't like it's a slouch, right? This is good EPS growth. This is attractive revenue growth on what many would consider a more value-oriented company. Excuse me. Applied Materials. This is a semi equipment maker, not a chip manufacturer. And if you go through and look at some other names like Lam Research, for example, some of these names in this semi equipment space are acting really well too. So AMAT still above the 21 today, and just a few more here. Home Depot, further, I guess, strength or evidence of strength in that home builder space. Home Depot looks great after a gap up. Last couple here, LYB, excuse me, getting back above the 21 and trending higher as well. You can see the shakeout to this 100 level to retest it, and pretty quickly getting back above the 21, similar to what we saw with the S&P, a really quick move back up. NTR, a name that didn't have a great reaction to earnings, as you can see here, but has started to come back up the right side, back above all the major moving averages. This one was added to the list. We've seen those chemical agriculture names hold up relatively well and kind of get back over those moving averages. And then the last two, American Tower. In a way, this is a REIT. It's just a telecom REIT, essentially. So this chart, although it's kind of messy right here, back above the major moving average, you can see how they've kind of coiled here at this area. You got the 200, you got all these within a relatively close proximity to each other. AMT, not a bad look, added to the 21 over 21 list. And CIEN, another recent gap up in the telecom space that held up really well, pushed through the high of yesterday today by just a smidgen. So that is the new and improved 21 over 21 list. Like I mentioned, tons of growth stocks that have gotten demolished. You can just throw a dart at the ARKK holdings and take a look at those charts if you don't believe me. But we're starting to see some strength in these other areas, and we're going to keep a close eye on it. Strongest sectors today were consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare. So we've really seen a lot of the defensive areas get stronger and the growth areas get weaker. So that is what I will leave you with here on this Friday. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you all on next Monday's video.